start.
You should start.
Chito Avamahadani Nirvapanam Shriyakeva Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jeevanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudani Sarva Shakti Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mami Durdaiva Mitrishamihajanina Trinadapi Sunijena Darorapi Sahishnuna Amanena Manadena Kirtaniya Sadari Nadanam
Radhanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitama Jagadisha Kamaye Mam Janmani Janmani Ishware Bhavatad Bhakti Rahe Tuki Tvaye
Nadhanam Najanam Nasandare Kavitam Va Jagadish Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatad Bhakti Rahe Tuki Tvai
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor I have any desire to enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers of mine. What I want only is that I may have your causeless devotional service in my life, birth after birth. So,
In the last verse, Lord Chaitanya talked about these two qualifications to be able to chant the Krishna's names with a taste, which is being humble and also being tolerant. And how do we develop that humility? Is by the things that are obstacles in developing our humility are expressed here, which is the desire to accumulate wealth, the desire to enjoy the opposite sex, the desire to have followers. These are the things that actually are big obstacles in our path to developing humility and tolerance.
actually, so many people approach spirituality or religion because they have some desire that they want, they're hoping that they can fulfill that. A while back, there was a book called The Secret, which talked about how one can actually visualize what one wants in life and just think about that, and then that'll manifest in one's life. So, we are trying to find so many different ways to attain our fantasies or to fulfill our fantasies in so many different ways. But here we see on this path of bhakti that it's actually the definition of pure bhakti is that it is completely without any kind of personal motivation or selfish desire, to the point where it is also rejecting salvation or liberation, saying that even if I have to take birth after birth, which means that even that is not. So why is that? Is that like a losing proposition to be, to be in a consciousness where one has no desire for anything that is so desirable? All of these things are things that people actually hanker for, and they work for it, right? So what is going on here? So the Bhagavatam actually states that, what is it that can completely satisfy a living entity. And actually, anything less than that is not going to satisfy, and even up to the point of Lord Brahma, right? Or any great personality.
Yeah, and this is called Ketava Dharma, when we want something in return for our worship. This is called like a business religion or cheating religion. Bhagavatam calls this Ketava Dharma. And this Ketava Dharma is until we reject that in our heart. We see that a lot in all parts of the world, also in India. People are um, getting cheated in the name of spirituality. And that is very unfortunate because um, then people become frustrated with any form of spirituality, even true spirituality. And so therefore, Lord Chaitanya is saying that in return for my chanting, Krishna may ask, hey, okay, so you're chanting my names, what do you want? And Lord Chaitanya is saying, I don't really want anything.
And so as I was making that connection, that so then what is it that will completely satisfy the self? Because otherwise, this may just feel like, okay, I don't want this, I don't want that, right? So, but what is it? So the Bhagavatam states that unmotivated and uninterrupted bhakti, that is the only thing that can completely satisfy the self. And anything less than that is not going to really satiate us. And so this is, so how do we get to that point unmotivated when we have no more motivations? And so, but right now I do have motivation. So the good news is that even if I approach the supreme person with motivations, still that is considered to be actually a very auspicious thing. Why? Because simply by the process of coming in contact with the spiritual vibration, then all of these lesser desires will automatically will pale in comparison. Just like Dhruva, there's a story of Dhruva who actually goes to Lord Vishnu with the desire to actually attain a kingdom which is greater than his grandfather. And then finally, when he actually gets to have the vision of Lord Vishnu, he says, I came looking for broken pieces of glass. I don't want it anymore. So, how do we, because otherwise it may just feel like repression, right? So one has to have something higher in order to be able to give something lower. So we may not have this taste right now, so, but we can, we can call out. We can
aspire for these. These are kind of goals or aspirations of a beginner. And so Krishna says, okay, you don't want those things, so what do you want? So Lord Chaitanya is saying, I just want your causeless devotional service in this life and birth after birth. And this is the, even if I have to take birth again, even if I don't go back to the spiritual world in this life, then I just want to have the opportunity to practice bhakti. And this is the benediction he wants. Yeah, it's quite amazing that that causeless devotional service. And why, what is the value of that causeless devotional service? It is described in a very powerful manual on bhakti. It's called Nectar of Devotion, that it is very easy to get liberation. It's very easy to get material benefits by the practice of bhakti, but it is very, very difficult to get bhakti. And why is that? Because with all the other things, Krishna can just give it to us and he can just walk away. But once he gives us bhakti, then he becomes a captive. And so that's why it is very rare to actually this to be bestowed upon any person. And another thing that is said is that the deity or the goddess of liberation, she stands in front of a devotee with her folded hands saying that, please allow me to render some service to you, or what can I do for you? But a devotee doesn't really care for it. So what it means in practical terms is that as soon as somebody starts the process of bhakti, so the liberation is already there, available for that person, but he's aspiring for more. So it doesn't mean that it's a losing proposition. Yeah. It simply means that one is gaining so much that the lower stuff just is not as attractive. Right? So I guess we could maybe that begin. Okay. Just 1 minute. These are very powerful, very beautiful prayers that we can meditate on when we are chanting today. That what is my desire? What is my intention as I'm chanting? What am I looking for? What's in my chanting? Is it a desire for wealth? Is it a desire for fame? Is it a desire for
this or that. And even if I do have those desires, I can just be honest and acknowledge the fact that I know that I'm approaching you with all of these motivations. Kindly purify my motivations, right? And Krishna is actually very, very magnanimous. He says that even if a person approaches me with these motivations, he actually calls them udara or magnanimous. So he glorifies them. So and one of the reasons why, this kind of motivated bhakti or motivated religion doesn't satisfy the self is because as soon as the motivation is taken away, then our bhakti also disappears in thin air. And so it's very erratic. And one of the ways that people in the communist countries actually turned towards atheism was they would come out after praying in the church that, please give me my daily bread. And they had a whole truck waiting outside with bread there, and they would say, so did you get your bread? And they said, no. So he said, we are giving you your bread, so here, just follow us now. So when we have these motivations on which we are trying to approach, then as soon as something doesn't work, then we become fair weather friends and we walk away. But true love means without any personal selfish motivation, and that's the highest form. It's a very powerful form of, so powerful that it can conquer the unconquerable. And the unconquerable person becomes like a captive and dances, as a puppet, really, to the tune of his devotees. Isn't that true?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we can call out to Krishna to remove all motivations from our heart.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So I guess we'll take any reflections or comments or questions. How does the thought of living a life free of any motivations and approaching the spiritual dimension without any motivations or desire for any particular result, how does that make us feel? Maybe if somebody wants to share that, that might be a nice topic of discussion for us to churn that topic a little bit more, because we are so accustomed to living a life of what's in it for me. That's how we start anything. And the fact is, this is very counterintuitive, right? That, just saying, well, I don't have any stake in this. I'm just here to render and offer my service without any expectation of any reward. So I'd like to hear from all of you guys. What do you feel about that? Does that resonate at all?
Hello, good morning.
Hey, Deepa, yeah, go ahead.
Hi. So it resonated with me actually quite strongly, like every message every single day, but today even more so because I'm in a spiritual business and you always feel like, uneasy about uh, giving like taking money for what I do, right? It's always this feeling of, am I doing the wrong thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? But then but today it clarified, and also that there is this need of, okay, I should grow my clients. I should grow my clients. It's very hard to be in the center and say, I'm doing this to help, right? If money is a byproduct of my work, it is not the only thing.
Right, right. That's true, right? Sometimes it's hard when that's our, and that's all right. We have to do what we have to do. And I think the motivation, our inner motivation can be purified more and more and more.
Yeah, thinking that work as an offering to Krishna and using the results that we get from our work in order to serve Krishna. That's a practical way for us who are in that situation. All of us are in that situation.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Deepa. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Hey, Mel, go ahead.
Hey, I've been
You're muted.
sorry, okay. I've been dealing with health issues lately, and my mind just always goes to just the worst case scenario, and then it produces all this anxiety. And like with everything else in life, I feel like I can handle, I don't know, for just this, I got stuck. So yesterday I found myself just chanting Hare Krishna just to stop the mental, noise. But I did have that in my heart. I think that I was saying, just please keep me safe, please protect me, and in a way that was my motivation for coming. And but I loved how you said that it's okay to come with that any motivation, and that it will be purified through just I guess offering it up. Right? Is that what I love that?
Totally. And that's the beauty of it, that actually with all that is being said about unmotivated bhakti, motivated bhakti is actually a very exalted, state of being, and Krishna is so pleased.
Anybody who comes to Krishna, just like anybody who goes out in the sun, right? Even though we may be feeling cold or whatever, but if you spend a few minutes in the sun, you'll start feeling warm again. That's the nature of sun. So our heart may be cold, we have so many desires. If you just go out and stand in under Krishna's sun, then that light from Krishna. Well, that's what he does. He likes to clean our hearts. That's his favorite job.
And if it helps, we're all, all of us are actually right now practicing mixed bhakti, which means that it is mixed with motivations. So, this is like looking at pure gold, and that pure gold, actually, the cowherd maidens of Vrindavan, they're the only ones who have this kind of unmotivated. There's a very sweet story. I think you guys might be actually ready to hear that. It's actually one of our favorite stories, which just shows the extent and the level of pure bhakti that they have. Where there's a story of how Krishna once had a headache, and everyone's thinking, how do we treat him, and they just don't know how to do it. So finally Krishna himself gives the remedy. He says, go and get me the dust from the feet of one of my pure devotees. And so this great sage Narada, he goes around and he inquires from so many different devotees, and he says, can you please give me some dust? Now in the Vedic tradition, to put the dust of your own feet on the head of the supreme person is a very blasphemous thing to do, and that means a lot of reaction.
It basically means that the Lord is under your feet.
Right. So then they just all balk in like, oh, there's no way we can do that. We're going to suffer in hell for a offense like that. So they don't do that. But finally, Narada goes to the gopis of Vrindavan, who are these very simple cowherd damsels, and they're considered to be the highest, like the goddesses of bhakti. They're just personifications of bhakti actually. So Narada goes there and he tells them that Krishna has a headache. Can you please, and the remedy for that is some dust from your feet. And so the gopis, they all run into the river and they come back on the sandy banks and they say, here, collect all this sand and take it and just rub it on his head if that's what will cure his headache. And so the sage Narada inquires, aren't you scared? Like you girls are giving this dust. You realize that for this, you may have to suffer in hell for, countless number of lifetimes. And the gopis' response to that was that in order to eradicate Krishna's headache for even a moment, if we have to suffer forever, then that suffering is the source of our greatest joy. So that's the kind of like unmotivated, like not thinking. But for us, we just have to be happy with what we have right now, which is mixed.
Yeah, and Krishna only accepts, even when we approach him with our mixed, he only takes the pure part in it. So if we have 1% pure bhakti in our heart and 99.9% just what's in it for me, Krishna just neglects that 99.9%. He only takes that 1%.
Yeah.
But that's the best part.
That's the best.
That's our hope.
That's our hope. Yeah. And that's why he's called, he just extracts the essence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amrita, go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. We're just meditating on this particular prayer and, chanting just made me feel like, I could reach a deeper state of peace. And just to think that, if, life was that way, like, unmotivated and desireless, like it wouldn't have that type of pressure, every day that we carry with ourselves. So, yeah, so I just felt that it was more peaceful for me.
That's nice, Amrita. It's such a beautiful realization. Yeah. And even like, sometimes people approach, and the thing is, here is the thing that, when we don't ask for any of this, then it's anyways poured upon us. It's not that like the devotee is bereft of any of this.
Yeah, Krishna gives all opulence, which is good for our bhakti. He gives that to us.
Nice. Aditi, any thoughts from you? Vinny, Kakali, go ahead. Yes.
Hare Krishna. I was reflecting on something actually Amrita had said yesterday or this morning, if you're in India, about giving, kind of like turning it over to Krishna and saying, if something isn't for me, like Krishna will help me see and Krishna will kind of help me guide my actions. And I think when it comes to like having goals or desires or wanting things in the material world, I notice like if I am unhappy still when I get it, if I think something is going to make me happy and then I get it and I'm still not happy when I get it, I know this is just from my ego. And then with this practice, I can ask like, how can I surrender this to Krishna? So it is helpful. And you know, I think it is true that like even when I'm meditating on like, oh, I really want this thing, or like I can't wait till I have this money or something, like, you know, something impure like that, it's still like I'm still wanting connection with my inner source. I'm still wanting connection with Krishna. And even when I get that, if I'm not happy, it's because I haven't on the way connected Krishna about it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Totally. Yeah,
totally
that's
makes
wonderful.
sense. That's very beautiful. Yeah, it's true. It's actually one of our greatest challenges, and I can attest to it, is the sense of standing under a desire tree and knowing that I can get whatever I want. And if we all had that one opportunity or maybe two opportunities, I mean, I know for a fact for myself, I wouldn't know what to really desire. That's where we really struggle. We don't really know what we really want. We think we know what we want, but you know, in reality, even after we get that, you know, it just doesn't do it for us, right? And so here Lord Chaitanya is also giving us an indication of what the heart is actually looking for. Like sometimes you see babies crying, they're crying and they're crying, and then they just don't know why they're crying. And the mother says, oh well, the reason you're crying is because you're tired, you need to go to sleep. And the child cries even more. No, I don't want to sleep, you know. And so, but in reality, the child is tired and really needs a good sleep, you know. So I find myself a lot like that, that I'm crying for stuff and I don't know why. I don't know, what am I hungry for? I don't know. And so Krishna sometimes comes and helps us, which we don't appreciate. Anybody else? Any other? Renu, any thoughts from you?
So, I mean, so I have, I don't know. So the thing is, ki in our day-to-day life, we are running after so many things, right? We want, to do good at work. We want to excel at work. You know, there are materialistic desires. You know, you go to social media. You know, you want to buy things, and you know, you feel that those things will make you happy, but I mean, I have realized that, you know, these things are only cause anxiety. So, and I mean, what Aditi, I guess, just said makes total sense to me, that, you know, bhakti in any form. I mean, I don't know, like, you know, if it's chanting is the way of what it is, but, you know, attending these sessions or just, you know, praying to God every day. I mean, that is what, you know, gives you peace. And I believe that itself could be a very big motivation to pursue this path.
Definitely, definitely. And you know, you're absolutely right that you know, we try to get so many things, and you know, we have to start somewhere.
You will start somewhere.
To start somewhere, and for each one of us, you know, we all, you know, we've all come, myself and Loka, we've all come because there was some thread that pulled us in. You know, for some it might be a desire for deeper knowledge, peace, happiness, mitigation of some suffering, some distress, right? There's so many reasons why we come, and it's all good, it's all perfect.
It's all coming under, as soon as we come under that umbrella of Krishna, then and that's the, and then Krishna takes over from there.
Yeah, 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 it's very nice. And it's a life of freedom, actually. You know, it's a life of freedom to know that, you know, that we can still be whole, you know, because so much of our identity is around these things. And we struggle because those things are so fickle anyways. And so to know that I can still be happy, you know, without this, and my identity is not based on these things, is a place of freedom. All right, so I don't know if anyone else has any further comments or questions or thoughts. So nice to hear from all of you, actually. We have to say this. We feel personally enriched just hearing from you all.
Definitely. All right, so then we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
I just want to say it's so wonderful starting every day with you. It's so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank
you,
you. The
Aditi.
feeling is so mutual.
It's
We're gonna
only
miss.
7:30 for you, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning, but now it's 8:12.
Okay.
Right, right.
Yeah.
We're already feeling separation from all of you because I think today is 15th, so we have another 6 days to go. Thank you. All right. Hare Krishna. Thank you. See you tomorrow.